Hello everyone, welcome to students to lesson 4. Today we will focus a key communication skill in ICT, describing processes clearly and logically. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to present ICT procedures or tasks in a structured way that is easy for any user to follow. In an ICT process is not just a random list of action, it follows a logical sequence to achieve a specific technological goal or task, whether you are installing a software or configuring a network, backing up data, or setting up a new computer. Each step must be clear and in the correct order for the task to be successful. Now let's see why describing ICT processes clearly is important. When ICT processes are described clearly, users are less likely to make mistakes and more likely to complete tasks independently and efficiently. Clear process descriptions also support troubleshooting and professional documentation in the ICT industry. A strong process describing uses sequencing markers that guide the reader step by step. It is important to use these transition words. These markers make the flow easy to follow and prevent confusion for the user. Think of them as signposts that direct the user through a procedure. You can use first to introduce the first or to the introductory action. Then next after that to present the following action, and finally to speak about the last action. This is concerning the rule number 1. The second rule is to be clear and concise. So how can we be clear and concise? Clarity and conciseness are very essential. Remove unnecessary words and avoid vague expressions. Each step should be short, direct, and easy to perform. The more precise your language, the easier your instruction be to follow. That is to say, avoid long sentences, each step describe only one action, and don't use vague or extra details. Let's move to rule number 3, which is the use of imperative or passive voice. Remember, we are talking about describing an ICT process and not giving instructions. We use two types of verb forms when describing processes. The imperative form is direct and commonly used in manuals and instructions, which will be in the next lesson. In lesson 5, we will see together how to give instructions. However, the passive voice is more formal and focuses on the action rather than who does the action rather than the person. Both forms are acceptable depending on the context. That is to say, the passive voice is acceptable when we are describing. However, we use imperative to give commands and instructions. Here are some examples of describing an ICT processes. Let's read together the example of a software installation. First, download the installation file. Then, double-click to launch the setup. Next, follow on-screen instructions, and finally restart the computer. Here, an ICT process of software installation is clearly, precisely, and concisely described. You can read the following by your own, and let's summarize what what has been mentioned in this session. Remember that ICT processes follow a clear sequence, that is to say, they need to be in a specific order. To mention this order correctly, you can use sequence markers like first, then, next, after that, and finally, or first, second, third, until you get to the final action. You can use imperative to give commands or passive voice to describe the process, or sometimes it is used to mention that the action is finished. Be clear, concise, and precise. Do not use vague language. Refer to the word using the specific technical term, and don't use extra details. Remember, use only one action per step. Don't mention 2 or 3 actions in one step. That's all for today. Thank you for your attention. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and see you in the next lesson.